Japanese macaque exhibit. Macaque? I'm not. I don't know how to say that word. So we are putting in lots of rocks first and foremost. Kind of just filling in this blank space that we have over on the other side. The pandas are on the other side. So the left side is blank at the minute, right? And then the right side is where the pandas are. And then the guests go up and around to the Japanese macaque exhibit. So the habitat itself was fairly straightforward, fairly simple. I've mentioned this now in the past 2 videos where it's not, it's a very simple flat habitat. It's not a lot of elevation change. It's not a lot of visual difference in the habitat itself. Because, we built this giant mountain to encompass the whole zoo and give the entire zoo the visual appeal. So I am still trying to do things a little different with each habitat. So this one is more of an entirely overlook habitat. So from the get-go, the guests, I knew the guests would kind of come up the pathway and look down into the exhibit, not have the glass viewing as we did in the other exhibits. I think this is the only one where there's no interior space or cave viewing. This just has one viewing platform the guests can go through and see. It ended up being, the only one where we haven't split the path really and gone 2 separate ways around. I considered doing it, but it would have been very difficult and it wouldn't have made much sense with how I decorated it with all of the rocks. So then we would have had cliff paths and you would have been seeing over all of this other work and going over staff areas, and it would have been just a huge thing. Also had to figure out where to put staff buildings. It's just a little far away from where the panda staff buildings are, and I knew I was going to need some form of electricity over here. It was just too far away from the other wind turbines. So I ended up making this cave for the staff members and taking the path into the cave, and then I had the struggle bus of there's no wind inside a cave. It's the one location where I could not finagle, the wind would just not gonna work. I actually ended up having to go with a generator, which I don't use very often. I usually stick to solar panels or wind turbines. So that was different. And then I had to figure out the pathing, which me and pathing in this game is always a little bit of a struggle. This one wasn't too bad, but I still had to do a little bit of figuring it out. And then we had to, hide this away. This is very visible from the path that guests would be walking on. So we did have to do a little bit of decorating. I didn't go as obnoxious as I probably could have. I definitely didn't make sure it was maxed out in that way, but I had placed so many rocks and stuff around the area that I was we'll probably be okay. initially I was gonna have it, okay, you can see into it, and then I was like, meh, we'll make it a solid cave, and we'll just close the staff building in behind some more rocks because we don't have enough rocks yet. And that's the hard part. It's like we've got this mountain with like the rocks and the terrain and stuff, and then it's, well, how do I make it look natural but also interesting, and also like how do I hide what I need to hide? And I probably didn't need to go as crazy with the rocks. It ends up being a lot of rocks. So it's a lot of work to build onto the side of a mountain. Honest answer. Like I spent more time decorating the surrounding area and figuring out the surrounding area than I did the actual habitat. And I'm finding more and more building the zoo is less about the habitats and more about, the areas around the habitats and making everything look pretty. And so this is where I'm trying to do the secondary path. I don't remember being successful in making this path. I really don't think I was. I think I tried and I think I just gave up on the secondary path. I was just like, that's not gonna work. Maybe I did it later, maybe I was successful, but I really don't think that I was. I don't remember being successful in that venture. I feel like I did this not that long ago. I literally just looked at it. Memory is a pain in the butt. So even though we don't have like the cave viewing for the people, I did create a cave for the macaques, just to have, a shelter in place. I am still on that. I don't want to use a ton of artificial or pre-built stuff, but then I did end up using the pre-built climbing frames. They do give you the climbing frames they provide are not terrible, right? Overall, they're pretty good, and it saves you quite a bit of time to use them. And it's not that I was rushed on time necessarily, but climbing frames are still difficult for me, and it's still at that point where it's helpful to see how they do it and how the animals interact with it. I haven't made enough animals that use the different sized climbing frames yet and see how they interact. Like I've done the large ones a bit with the different bears, and tigers and things, but in terms of the smaller ones for the different types of monkeys and red pandas and stuff, I haven't really experienced that much. And that's one of the biggest things with this game is, you can't, especially for me, it's hard to just go into something blind. Like, especially with how, X, Y, and Z axis and placing things work. Sometimes it's less about the building of it. Like I have an idea for a climbing frame, but it's just trying to put all the pieces together. It's just really hard to do sometimes. But when you have this flat lands like this, I didn't know how to build my own climbing frame for it. And I think I did the same in the Formosan black bear habitat, where I relied on another climbing frame because the area is flat. The tigers and the red pandas had these different elevation structures. They had the river to cross. They had all these different things. And flat area, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with the flat area, but I didn't have any inspiration for how I wanted the climbing frame to work. So I realized I had forgotten some of the educational pieces around the zoo. So I had gone through, filled in some animal talk points, filled in some of the educational boards, and kind of filled in some of this blank space that we had, and just kind of caught up on the decorating a bit more. And then we do next week, I am going to have a video that's, I think it might be llamas, or it might just be like a decoration type video and like a tour of what we currently have in the Twisting Taiga Zoo. And kind of, I mean, it's not really halfway. I could do that at the halfway point actually, because I think we've got, this is our 5th animal. I think there's 14. I think it came out to like an even number of taiga animals. I want to say there's like 14 taiga animals. And I want to say snow leopards are like number 7. And it's in my head, snow leopards are going to be at the top of this mountain. We're going to do llamas, we're going to do snow leopards, and then we're going to start going back down the mountain, and we're going to have, you know, the bears that are left, the Himalayan brown bear, the grizzly bear, the wolves, Arctic wolf, the gray wolf, gray wolf? There's so many more animals, like the whole from the Southeast Asia pack. I'm missing one. Let's try reindeer. I want to say reindeer is going to be included as well. I really want to say Wolverine, but no, we don't have Wolverines. Like, I don't, like, it's in my head, and no, there's no Wolverines. There's no snowy owls. There's no Arctic foxes. I don't think the gray seal is technically Taiga Biome. I think it's just aquatic, so I don't think I am including that one in this zoo either. And then I know I'm missing at least one. Is it the bison? Might not be the bison. There's one, and I want to say it's a North American animal that I'm missing in my head, and it's bugging me now. I don't think it's a polar bear, because I don't think the polar bear is technically taiga. I think the polar bear is just straight tundra and maybe aquatic. I have a list. I promise I do, and I sincerely am drawing a blank, because I went through and found all of the animals that are in the taiga, and like went through all of this nonsense, and Dall sheep. That's the one I'm missing, is the Dall sheep. Yeah. Llama, snow leopard, Dall sheep, grizzly bear, Himalayan brown bear, reindeer, Arctic wolf, Dehole, and timber wolf are all